Hi everyone, and welcome to day 7 of Art with Miss Choate. And for today, what we're going to be doing, we're going to be trying to do printmaking with supplies that we have at home. Now, I'm going to try to give lots of different options in case you don't have some of the supplies, but we'll see what we can do. I know we have a lot of limited things at home, or maybe you don't want to use certain supplies because you want to make sure you keep them. But for today, we're printmaking saran wrap, foil, wax paper, pretty much anything non-porous can be our surface to work on. And we're going to either be using markers, paints, anything that we can spray with some water and get it to be in a liquid state so we can press our paper into it. So let's go gather our supplies and let's get started. Did you know that you can actually paint with yesterday's old coffee or new coffee if you're like me, you're a coffee addict? And even though we've been kind of rationing our coffee because that's how important it is to us, I always end up having a little bit left over in the pot. So what you can do, you can actually keep that for painting. Now, you can just use it as it is. I want to show this to you guys first to show you, like, that's not very dark, but if you really let some of those grounds get in, you can paint with the coffee itself. Now, if you have something else you can add to it to like kind of stretch this out, you totally can. If you have a little bit of India ink or a little bit of a pen, play with what you have in your house. You notice here I have some oil. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with that because I couldn't find a spray bottle. So I kind of just added another pigment to that. I don't know if you can see how pretty and glistening that is. And let's see if the camera's picking up how nice and reflective and shimmering that is. That might be something nice to play with in our printmaking. So I just wanted to show you that even if you might not have paint in your house, if you have some old coffee, if you have tea, if you have even oranges or lemons, you can take that rind and shear it down, add some water to it, add a little bit of oil, and you'll even get color out of that. So please play with the things you have in your house, and you might be really surprised with what it comes out with. Like, I really like this ink being added to the coffee. It gives it a nice shimmer. All right, so remember I said non-porous surface. That means something that can't absorb the liquid of the paint or the marker. So a piece of paper will not work for your surface. It's gonna have to be something slippery. So foil, if you have a piece of laminated paper, this is also really good. Or that being said, a piece of hard plastic, anything like that will work. So what you're gonna be doing, you're gonna be making marks on that surface. Now, it can be whatever you want. It could be abstract, it could be figurative. For this purpose, for what I'm showing you, I'm going to keep it abstract. Remember, with the paint, yesterday I had said, don't have your brush be dripping. Today, you can totally have your brush drip. So we're gonna be adding those colors on here. Have fun with it, play, let those colors bleed on the paper. See how the marker interacts with. So if you wait too long to do this print, you'll see it starts to dry up. You want to make sure you can reactivate. If it's dry, just touch it again with water. The pigment is still all there, so you don't need to worry about, oh, I need a new piece of foil. That's fine. You don't. So I'm adding a little bit more color. Remember, even if you don't have paint, that's okay. I'm gonna do a little bit of marker on this one. Actually, if it'll open. And you'll notice the colors seem different on the foil. And this is where if you have a spray bottle, you could spray it. I couldn't find a spray bottle. I have oil, so I'm gonna play. I don't know what it's gonna do. Oh, I got oil on my paint. That's okay. Let's see, I sprayed some oil, and you know what? For kicks, I'm gonna give it a little bit of this ink that I have. And lastly, before I forget about that coffee we had talked about, I'm gonna put some of this coffee down. And you can be a little liberal on it. On this project, you really can't have too much water on your page, unlike yesterday's. You want to make sure that water is going down, and it's going to be interesting to see how the water interacts with that oil that we sprayed. So now I'm going to take my paper and I'm going to press it into that foil, and you're going to rub in a circular motion. Now, you don't have to rub with your hand. If you have something flat, you can rub with like a book, or you can press a book into it. That's fine. And now let's reveal it. So here we have our first print. I like how some of these areas turned out. It's a little bit dull. So at this point, you could either let it dry, or you could come back in. Now make sure if your water is like mine and it's really cloudy, go clean your water. We can come back in now and give it some bright areas. But I kind of like how this looks. It reminds me of like a stormy cloud, but I'm just gonna add a little bit of bright yellow to be like the sunlight peeking through. What I think would be wonderful is let this dry and do calligraphy on top of it. So maybe that's what I'll do for tomorrow. All right, so right on top of these, I'm gonna try these washable markers, and you can see, I think this is gonna work better. I can see the pigment staying on top of the page. So I think these markers are gonna be better. Maybe I didn't even realize those other ones aren't washable. There we go, that could be why. And I'm gonna try spraying with the oil. And again, you can take since the oil just sits right there on top, I'm gonna take my brush and move it around. It's looking a little muddy. I'm not super crazy about how this is looking. I'm gonna take this one and I'm gonna print again. You can always print right on top of that paper one more time. Let's see if this looks any better. That oil is sitting right on top. I don't think that works too well. It worked better on the foil. So remember, you can always wipe these away. Now I'm learning those markers definitely were not washable, which is why they weren't working. But here we go, we have a clean slate again, and you can try a new thing. Now, if you want a little more guidance as to maybe what to create on this, you could always think about a rainbow, or you could think about the color wheel. So remember, red and yellow makes orange. So these three colors, these are all hot colors, go really nicely together. Or if you want to think about cool colors, we have blue and yellow make green, and blue and red make purple. So for our cool colors, we have blue, purple, and green. So these are our cool, these are our hot, and they go very nicely together. So what you could do is think about our projects we did the other day with those circles. So maybe you want to make circles again. Oops. Try not to get your markers on top of your painting. That's not going to help it. And it's okay to have these markers go on top of each other. That's going to actually create some nice blending. And now I'm going to take a paper and press it into this. Remember, circular motions. If you have that spray bottle, you could spray it right before. Oh, and look at that. That is so nice. And you could add more onto this one. So let's try a few more. Maybe I'm gonna do some cool colors now. So yeah, really make sure that those markers are washable. See, you learn, I learn. Learn to check, test things. And I'm not mad at myself that I made that mistake. I'm not gonna edit it out of the video. I'm gonna leave it because it shows that it's okay to make mistakes. I learn from it. And now let's try adding that. So think about it. Do you want to have it overlap? I'm gonna have it overlap because I also might get a ghost from it too. So where do I want it? If you're doing this with a younger child, have them think about space. How can you arrange it to create a nice space on the page? I see we have a little bit of that ghost right there. This is where if you have that water, you can spray it, or if you just have water here, you could just flick it a little bit. See what that does? You can see those little watermarks getting activated. Let's try to do that one last time. Same page. This is where it gets a little risky. Am I gonna ruin it? I don't know. I'm really liking how this is looking. Again, I'm gonna think about where I'm placing them on the page, and I'm gonna rub in a circular motion. And you can see that's coming through. This looks exciting. Ready? Look at that. Interesting. I'm gonna move this to the side because I think I'm happy and I think it's done. So remember, washable markers, paint, any source of liquid that would give you some color. And then if you have a spray bottle, anything you want to play with, the water really activates it. Now when you do those spray bottles, it's going to give you more of this like tie-dye look. If you don't do it and you just do it kind of quickly while you're working, then you're going to get this kind of like dried effect. Now this one was on the foil and with a lot of liquid, so it's a little bit more like water blots. So on this one, I'm going to try to do a little bit more water blots, like something you could put calligraphy on top of. I'm really thinking of that project tomorrow, and you guys can do the same thing. So remember, you can put these markers on top of each other. You could spray it with some water. We're going to try it two ways. One, without the spraying of the water. So we have that. And now I can do a second way with the water. You can also try to control where you put the water. Let's see how it looks. There we go. So with those washable markers, you can really get a lot more out of them, a lot more options when we're talking about printmaking on foil or plastic. The first time you try it, it may not turn out the way that you want it to, and that's okay. Just like with me, I tried it the first time. I think this turned out okay when it comes to like maybe doing a calligraphy on top, but my colors aren't as bright. But once it dries, I could go back in and add some detail to it with my gel pens, crayons, colored pencils, whatever I want. I'm really starting to like how these looked. Those were the washable markers with the water splashed on top. But again, play, try to use what you have in your home, see what you can come up with. Do save these. We might use these tomorrow to do the calligraphy on top. Hi everyone, and thank you for tuning in on this wonderful Tuesday. Hopefully you had fun trying to print make with the supplies you had at home. And even if they didn't turn out the way you wanted them to, hopefully you learned something from the experience. Hopefully you found a new way. Maybe it's a way you can make a background. Maybe it's a way that you can just relax after a stressful moment. Or maybe you don't like this idea at all, but at least you tried it and you created something today. Just as long as we're making every day, that's all that matters. So thank you. Please like, subscribe, comment, pass this along to your neighbor. Maybe you can't see them, but you can still shoot them a little text message. And you know what? Just as long as we're all happy, healthy, that's all that matters. All right, have a wonderful Tuesday. Bye. So obviously the first time you try it,